Welcome to video 9.1d, solve quadratic equations by factoring. Pure review of Algebra 2, several weeks should have been spent on this. All right, so solve the following. Notice we've got a quadratic equation in standard form. The lead coefficient is 1. We want to do basic factoring. So for my template, I'm going to say x something, that product equals 0. Okay. Then I'm looking for two numbers that have a product of negative 10 and a sum of negative 3x, or negative 3. All right, you could make a list if you wanted to, or you could just do it in your head. For the first problem, I'll start by making a list. So since the product is negative, I'm going to have a mixture of signs. I could be 1 and negative 10, or negative 1 and positive 10. I could be 2 and negative 5, or negative 2 and positive 5. That's all my product pairs. Now, which one has a sum of negative 3? Oh, that one does. So I choose that. I could put it in any order, x plus 2, x minus 5, or x minus 5, x plus 2. Multiplication is commutative. Order does not matter. So I'll just go x plus 2, x minus 5. Once you do that, what you want to do is set each factor equal to 0. Again, usually I do that in my head, but for this first time I'll write it out. So x plus 2 equals 0, or x minus 5 equals 0. So minus 2, x sub 1 equals minus 2, plus 5, x sub 2 equals 5. Once again, all quadratics have two solutions. All right, example 6. I'm not in standard form, so my first step is to get in standard form. I don't like a lead coefficient that's negative, so I'm going to bring everybody over to the right-hand side. So basically I'll be going plus x squared here and plus x squared here, resulting in 0 equals x squared minus 5x minus 14. Okay, once again, I'm looking for two numbers that have that product and that sum. My lead coefficient is 1, so I'll just set up my template. X something equals 0. All right, so I've got a product that's negative. I know it's going to be a mixture of signs. Once again, it could be 1 and negative 14, or negative 1 and positive 14, 2 and negative 7, or negative 2 and positive 7. Looking for a negative 5. Looks like that would be my correct factoring. So I'll go x plus 2, x minus 7. One thing I should mention, to check my factoring, I usually do what's called an OI check. So the outers minus 7x, the inners plus 2x, and does that sum minus 5x? The answer is yes. So that's how I know I did the factoring correct. You never need to ask your teacher. Okay, so once again, once I do that, then I will set each factoring chunk equal to 0. And if I could do it in my head, I will. Obviously, that one's going to be negative 2. And that one's going to be positive 7. And once again, it doesn't matter what order you report your answers in. All right, problem 7. I'm going to first get into standard form. So I'll add 5 to each side. So it'll become 2x squared minus 7x plus 5 equals 0. Notice this time I've got a lead coefficient of 2. 2 is a prime number. I'm loving it. My only template options will be a 2x and a 1x. Okay, so once again, I'm always looking for a product pair of that. And over here, a resultant sum of that after I do my OI check. Okay, so 5's prime. My only possibilities are 1 and 5, or negative 1 and negative 5. Okay? Don't forget that a negative times a negative is a positive. And if I got a negative sum, it's going to have to be negative, negative. So let's just decide where to put the -1 and the -5. I think it would make sense to put the -5 there, the -1 there. I'm going to check, the OI check. Minus 2x, minus 5x, sums minus 7x. Okay, so I've done my check. Now what I'm going to do is set each factoring, or each chunk, equal to 0. Okay, so I've got 2x minus 5 equals 0, 2x equals 5, or x equals 5 halves. I typically leave my answer in exact fractional form in proper fractions. If you want to go decimal, you can. Over here, x of 2 just equals 1. Okay, so be prepared to get fractional answers, decimals, etc. All right, example 8. I put 2 asterisks by it. I can guarantee you this will be in a quiz and a test. It's just something that students forget how to do. So please make sure you focus on this. This one's slightly different. I don't have a constant term. I do have a squared term and an x term. All right, so again, let's get it into standard form. So I'll go minus 4x, and I'll go minus 4x, and obtain x squared minus 7x equals 0. Okay, once again, I've only got 2 terms. I'm not going to do the guess and check factoring like I've done before. What I'm going to try to do is factor out an x amongst both of those terms. So I can factor out an x there, and I can factor out an x there. And I would get x times x minus 7 equals 0. Okay, so I've got somebody times somebody equals 0. If you want, you can even put parentheses there. So I'm just going to chunk it up like I did before. I've got a chunk here, and I've got a chunk here. For what value of x is x 0? 0. For what value of x is x minus 7 equal to 0? 7. Done. I've got a couple more examples, but just for now, 4 examples on how to solve a quadratic by factoring.